Tyrande 2.0. So first video I covered basic construction techniques for Tyrande that I did. I took some of the pieces I used from that and I made 2.0. So I went from splash screen art to in-game 3D model. So what I did carry over was the breastplate, so I'll cover that first. I noted that my chain in the middle broke, which is this chain right here that I was referencing. I thought I could fix it. I did fix it, and it broke again. So all I can say is I don't think this is a good method for supporting. I tried to double up. I don't know if you can see there's a second chain. I tried to double up the support to split the weight and distribute it across two chains. I didn't successfully do that, so it pulled and it took the weight. I also went back and kind of like added more contrast to it, tried to add more contrast to it, and the biggest thing is that I actually changed all of my Sculpey gems out to LED gems. So I can pop that on quickly to show. So they're in two sections, so two sets of lights, controllers. Right? And these are actually hot glue gems. So I'm actually quite happy with how these turned out. So hot glue gems, you make a mold of the gem. Then once the mold cures, you're gonna squeeze hot glue in to the mold. Once it's at the top, you put the little LED in to the gem if you want it to light. If you don't want it to light, then this is fine, but honestly, I don't see why you would use hot glue for anything other than making it light up. It does a pretty good job of diffusing the light. I know the video, it kind of shows like it's really good distribution, and I think it photographs reasonably well with this distribution, but in person there's definitely a little dot in the middle. So, but again, that's because the light's going straight through. So if it was coming in from like the side, you probably wouldn't see that, but you wouldn't get that even distribution of light. So that is those. So to show the back, this is what the back looks like. So I have 3 magnets to attach to my top. Because I redid the top, I didn't have as much support that the first top did. So I found myself having to pull this down a lot further. And ultimately, I found that this is really too big. So those are just things that happen when, you move from one version to the other. This worked with the long skirt, but when I brought the skirt up and shortened it, this just felt very overwhelming to the entire outfit, and so it just needs to be a little smaller. But I was successful, like I said, with these little batteries. So each gem is one LED, and depending on if I have one light or two, so down here's 2, they still operate off of the same battery pack. The only difference is in this battery pack, I have one coin cell battery, the 2032s, and a penny. So the penny is there to help the current continue. The LEDs themselves run on between a 3.2 and a 3.5 volt. I can't math very well, so I just did a lot of reading and researching. I didn't blow a light with this method, so it seems to work. Your mileage may vary. I used 2 batteries in the bottom one because 2 lights at 3 volts each, requires a 6-volt output. 1 coin cell is 3 volts, 2 coins, 6 volts. So it helps support the power. But you can't really see it in the video, but you can still see the brightness changes. So usually you do want to add resistors if you do this stuff. So do it at your own risk. This is me learning, so if you want to learn this way, this works. I think I had 11 gems, so I think I had a total of 9 battery packs. So this bottom piece was 1 battery pack to 2, and the shoulder piece was the other point where I had 2 gems on it and 1 battery pack with 2 coins. So that's pretty much where I just doubled up. So, and because like all of her armor is on cloth, using a 12-volt battery might have worked, but it's not flat, and a lot of her armor is very close to her body. So if somebody wants to go that route, I don't see why not. You just need to make more considerations of where you're going to keep your battery pack hidden, because all of her pieces are kind of really close to her body and they don't connect at all, so be aware of that. What's interesting is I had not used Apoxie Sculpt before the first project with Tyrande, right? And I felt like it did a reasonably good job. And then I started remaking these pieces, and then, you know, for example, this is one of the newer ones, and I just immediately was like, my skill level has just completely gone up. And so that's another thing to consider. So, you know, from one to the next, your skills can change significantly. So if you decide to carry pieces over, be aware that that can happen. It happened with me. It's kind of an interesting thing to watch as well. I guess a quick note on her shoulder armor, right? So it's this floaty piece. It actually floats a lot higher. Most shoulder armor requires a strap that goes under your other arm and back around to support. You can't do it any other way. Trust me, I've looked, I thought, I tried, doesn't work. So I used a very thick elastic band with Worbla here, and so it goes up to the top of my forearm. So it's not quite like floaty, but it does the job. Sometimes it slides down a little, but I'm quite happy with how it is. It never slid down. I never had to feel like I was pulling it up. It was good. And then just for some extra support, I did add these chains. I did it in the hotel room, so that's why it's still attached, because I didn't put the clasps on them so I could take them apart. But I have this kind of reasonably long chain necklace that goes on my body, right? And so it's a necklace, and it also acts as kind of a support, so it's all linked up. It's not floating. So that's another thing, you know, just a little extra, make sure it doesn't fall forward, doesn't fall back. So I like that. I like it a lot. I guess I already turned on the other batteries, right? You know what they look like. So there's that one. And I'm trying to find some of the other pieces I made. Right. So again, they're just kind of all these like floating pieces. They don't really have the ability to connect. So these flat coin cells, to me, I thought worked perfectly. I can't argue with it. They were good. Again, like her little wrist thing. This one's kind of harder to hide. When your gem's in the very middle, of the armor and your armor's really tiny, there are only so many ways that a battery pack can lay on top of the circuit that you've created. But it does still, just for good measure, let's turn it on, it still works. And lastly, I will go through her leg piece. So this wraps around right above my ankle. And again, hot glue gem, battery pack in the back here. And then I had no problems again, surprisingly, with this not falling down. So I have 4 D-rings. What side am I on? Here, one at the top, and then one kind of inside here. And then it kind of follows this weird pattern. So I don't have anything that wraps inside here. Everything pushes up on my leg. And you just pull tighter at the bottom, tie in a knot, and you're done. So this is really good. It also helps that before doing all the sculpting, it's formed to the shape of my leg. So I knew it was really snug to begin with. And those are all of the new pieces that I made. Oh, no, well, shoe. Let's look at the shoe. So she's got this, like, floating piece on top of her shoe. When I first formed it, I formed it a little higher on my foot. And then when these came into the picture, they kind of touch right here. So I tried to lift this up, but the way your foot moves, I still had some rubbing here. So if you were to make this, I would suggest going a little lower on your foot. And then for good measure to show how I attached, again, each one of these was 4 D-rings. I have 2 here, 2 in the back, 2 on the sides and the front. This one I did wrap around my foot to secure. So those were each individually wrapped. It was a little bulky with the tie wraps, but again, I had no problems with it falling off. So those are my updates to Tyrande 2.0. Lessons learned, summary. Don't do a chain for a really critical part of the center breastplate, especially if you want to move, right? I have no idea what to offer in terms of an alternative. I really thought the double chain would work. I think maybe I just wasn't successful in getting the chains to accept the distribution equally. I did say in the last video I was going to try and like super glue or maybe solder, and I just didn't do that again this time. Shame on me. Yeah, and then I feel like, I don't know if I did this in the video already, but instead of body painting everything, I used stockings, leggings with a hole cut out in the crotch, and then full leggings, footy leggings. I would say you could do both for upper body and lower body, and then for the upper body, just sew, like pull it tight, sew it, and then you wouldn't have to paint your fingers. But I definitely like being able to not feel like stuff is going to like slide out, because it's kind of what nylons do. Boom. I guess the other thing I did leave out is that I didn't show my updated sewing pieces, right? So the sleeve, really basic. The top doesn't have anything, no elastic. This just kind of goes on top of it. And again, I used elastic on my upper arm. No problems, never slid, never moved. Super secure. Would recommend. Oh, and I will say, I did buy some like no flip elastic. It's got this different pattern in the middle. So I don't know if that helped me, but good to know for you. The skirt, same skirt as last time. I just cut it up as my video tries to, okay, there. I just cut it up, made it raggedy. Her dress looks raggedy to me. Battle damage. And then the new top I sewed together. I attached the choker this time to the top. 3 points of contact. I made just the hook and eye. So it does that. I messed up in getting it on the inside of these, but still held up. The top is just more or less halter here. The flaps around. Again, because her dress is kind of this like angled, tapered, and then it's just a zipper in the back. So the first one I did lace up, this one I did zipper, because lace up means I have to have someone help me get in. And this time I was like, I'm going to be able to do this all by myself. And I pretty much did, other than just getting somebody to help me finish with the chains on the shoulders. Yeah, so I hope that helps answer any questions. If you have any additional questions, make sure to leave it in the comments below. I'm happy to answer. And you can see images on my Facebook page, Honey Bunch Cosplay. And yeah, I have more updates to make later on. I probably will redo the chest piece. Definitely need to make her bow. And I think there was one other thing I wanted to do. We'll see. Surprise! Thanks for watching.